Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Poly Medicure Limited Q4 FY21 earnings conference call hosted by ICICI Securities. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touch-tone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Sriram Rathi from ICICI Securities. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of ICICI Securities, I welcome you all to the Q4 FY21 earnings conference call of Poly Medicure Limited. We have the senior management of the company with us today, represented by Mr. Himanshu Baid, the Managing Director, and Mr. Naresh Vijayvargiya, President, Finance and Strategy. So with this, I'll hand over the call to Mr. Baid for the opening remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Sriram. Good afternoon, friends. Trust everyone is safe and healthy. Welcome to Polymed Q4 and FY21 earnings conference call, and thanks for joining today. Last few months have been very challenging for all of us due to COVID-19. And I think as an industry, we have felt a lot of pain in terms of increased raw material pricing, massive increase in freight costs, whether it was inward or outward, or also supply chain disruptions, which happened during the pandemic. Earlier it was in Europe and now in India. So I think, but this crisis has given one clear indication to everybody that India's healthcare infrastructure is really, really inadequate. And there's a huge need for increasing hospital bed capacity across the country. And not only that, I think even in existing hospitals, we need to increase the ICU bed allocation for critical care patients. Because today, even in Delhi, we have very limited ICU beds at this stage also today when the other beds are empty. So I think that also needs to be augmented in a big way. India, as we all know, is 75 to 80% import dependent on medical devices and equipment. And first time last year, Government of India has recognized the importance of this sector and in the healthcare supply chain. As this industry was greatly unregulated, it allowed large film players to bring substandard products and sell to customers. Also, the disparity in MRP versus the actual cost of the product also favored unregulated players in the industry. From last 12 months, there are important changes and decisions announced by the government to monitor and regulate and focus on Make in India. Firstly, the PPA order came for procurement of medical devices from indigenous manufacturers for government procurement. Formation of standards, almost 1,400 new standards are now developed by BIS for medical devices. All medical devices prices are now monitored by NPPA from 1st April 2020. And I mean price monitoring means that no company can increase the prices by more than 10% in one financial year or preceding 12 months. All devices are now will be regulated in next 2 years by CDSCO by 31st March 2023. Currently, only 35 medical devices are regulated, and now there is a work in progress to regulate more devices. Government announced the PLI scheme for promotion of medical devices in the country. Unfortunately, out of the slots available, only 14 companies could participate, in which there were a couple of repeat companies also. So I hope that there is a next version coming in very shortly, and I think more companies will participate. So I think we can see more manufacturing in the next 3 to 5 years in country happening because of government's push towards PLI. 4 new medical device parks are to be announced, not yet because they were supposed to be announced last year, but they have not been announced. I don't know the delay, but I think we are eagerly waiting as an industry that wherever these parks come in, I think industry will go and invest in these new areas and in new manufacturing opportunities. The Government of India has also planned to spend 65,000 crores in healthcare infrastructure over the next 5 to 10 years. I personally think it's quite inadequate right now looking at the current situation and current scenario. But I hope this money comes in and goes to urban areas where there is a dire need of healthcare facilities. We've already seen in TV and many areas in UP, Rajasthan, Bihar, MP, and other states, there's a dire straits, the healthcare facilities, healthcare infrastructure is in dire straits. On the negative side, the Government of India has removed all export incentives. In FY19, MIS incentive on export was 4%, which was reduced to 2% by FY20, and now is 0 from 1st January 2021. So this has impacted our P&L by 7 to 8 crores in FY21. The new RoDTEP scheme, which is currently not implemented, is yet to be notified completely, and we are not sure what kind of incentive will be available under RoDTEP scheme. But we hope that government could bring in some reasonable incentives for exporting companies. Polymed was awarded the new PLI scheme for renewable products in February 21. The scheme will be operational from FY23 to FY27. And if we meet the requisite sales target, we'll be able to get an incentive of 5% on incremental sales of renewable products over these 5 years. The base year has been signaled financial year 19-20 for revenue recognition. As a company, we expect that we will be getting an incentive of over 40 to 45 crores over next 5 years from FY23 to FY27. But again, it depends on the incremental revenue we generate, but this is our guesstimate right now. I think last 12 months, companies focus only on renal and diagnostic consumable business. So the first few months of this FY21 were challenging as there was lockdown in the country and we were operating at a very nominal capacity. But later on, we picked up the pace and have achieved a growth of 15% in revenue as per our guidance in the beginning of the last financial year. India business has grown by around 17% and exports have grown by over 14% in FY21. All our plants outside India have also shown good progress, especially our joint venture in Egypt, which has done exceedingly well. It has clocked a revenue of $15 million with a net profit of close to around $1.8 million. For FY21, export revenue was 69% and domestic revenue was 31%. Major growth of exports came from Europe and Middle East countries. Europe contributes to over 40% of our exports and is the most potential market for us today. Some new product registrations are underway, and we expect Europe and America will be our new growth drivers for next few years. India business has been progressing well. We have clinical advisory team comprising of eminent doctors across the country. Also, we'll be hiring at least 50 more people in sales and marketing this year. And India business is expected to grow in the range of 25 to 30% in FY22 due to increased penetration of our products in large chain hospitals, path labs, and dialysis centers. Export business is expected to grow in the range of 10 to 12% as many economies are yet to recover from the pandemic. Overall growth guidance for FY22 will be in the range of 17 to 18%. US business is on track. They've already developed few customers for our human health and animal health business and currently are in discussion with few companies for distribution opportunities. We expect our US FDA 510(k) approvals to come by between Q2 and Q3 of the current financial year, and we can start seeing US sales growing step by step from next financial year. In terms of margin, we have improved by almost 3% over FY20. We'll continue to maintain similar margins in FY22 also. For Q4, there is a small drop in margin by 200 bps, mainly due to higher raw material and logistic costs. I think we all know that logistic costs have increased almost by 3%. Freight charges, inward and outward freight charges for international imports and exports. Even raw materials, most of our raw materials costs have also increased by 50 to 70%. All the plastic raw material prices have increased very sharply in last 4 to 6 months. We expected a bigger drop, but due to lean manufacturing and increased productivity, we were able to mitigate that risk and maintain a reasonable margin on our operations. The company is constantly investing in new technologies and new products. In FY22, we plan to launch at least 9 to 10 new products. Over next 2 years, we plan to invest 250 crores in CAPEX. We're building a new facility in Faridabad to expand our renal business and diagnostic business. We are doing a phase 3 expansion of our SEZ facility in Jaipur to ramp up our capacity for export business. Our R&D pipeline is already very strong today. Company currently holds over 300 patents and 12 to 12 product families and strongly maintain our leadership position in vascular and infusion business. During last few months, we have ramped up capacity of our respiratory care products, and we see an extra demand due to COVID pandemic. And currently, we are working on couple of new devices. We also developed a new Y connector, which we made an open source, which can connect two oxygen cylinders simultaneously, one oxygen cylinder, and can be connected to two patients simultaneously. So this connector was launched around 2 weeks ago, and we have supplied rapidly to many customers around India, and at a very reasonable price, because our motive was main to help patients, and we priced this product at a very low price of 10 rupees just to cover our material cost. And to NGOs, this product has been supplied free of cost. I hope it is pretty helpful. We have tested the product. Many hospitals have liked what we were doing, and we continue to supply this product at a very, I would say, no profit, no loss, and at free of charge to many NGOs. From the current fundraise, which we did around 2.5 months ago, we plan to invest as follows over next 18 to 24 months. 250 crores has been set aside for new CAPEX, 100 to 150 crores for inorganic opportunity. We are looking for opportunities in India and overseas. 50 to 75 crores for CAPEX in existing plants, and 50 crores mainly for working capital and partial term loan debt repayment. Currently, our debt on the balance sheet, long-term debt, is 88 crores in form of ECB and FCNRB loans with an average interest rate of less than 2%, and some working capital debt of 38 crores, mostly in foreign exchange as export packing credit and CC limit, and cash credit equivalent. Currently, in the company, we have cash and cash equivalents and investments at the tune of around 220 crores. Mainly it is because of the QIP we did, and of course there was existing cash in the company. Inventory has slightly gone up due to extra stock, but I think it is just maybe 10 to 12 crores more than last year. But I think as the revenues increased by over 100 crores from FY20 to FY21, we also maintain a little larger inventory looking at the supply chain disruptions and the issues which we saw during the first and the second wave of the first wave of pandemic. Our long-term debt is payable over next 2.5 to 3 years, and as is an ECB will not be able to prepay it, so we'll have to still carry it in our books. Our constant focus is to reach more hospitals in the country and also deepen our relationship with large corporate chains. We have done many digital outreach programs with our domestic as well as international customers in last 1 year. From last few years, our key focus has been enhancing our clinical efficacy of our product, hiring more clinical specialists. Today, we have full-time doctors employed in the company. We have an advisory team of doctors. We have clinical specialists in the team. We are focusing on new technology in fluid management and infection control prevention area because that's our core business, and we continue to excel in that area. In every business vertical we are operating today, whether it is infusion, vascular, diagnostic, renal, respiratory care, we are hiring more and more people who are knowledgeable than us, who have been part of this industry for a long time. And we have recently hired one person who was ex-MD of Fresenius in India to lead our renal business in India and in overseas markets. So we are constantly looking for new people, new talent in the organization so that we can scale up much faster. We expect in next 1 to 2 months, hospitals will see increased footfalls of non-COVID patients, and also there will be increase in elective surgeries, which will help us to grow business of other products which we saw dip during COVID times. There are a lot of learning from last 2 years from COVID, last 2 waves, I would say. We have learned to ramp up capacities of certain products in a much shorter time as compared to past due to flexibility in our production process and production lines. All marketing activities have gone digital, and I think in future we see this a new way of doing marketing and sales activities in future. Most of the conferences have gone digital, so I think for us now we can participate in more and more conferences, reach out to more people through a digital medium. Sales call will become more selective and penetrative by field staff. Also, since last 1 year, if you see, in almost preceding 12 months, in 6 months, the field staff has been sitting at home and were not allowed to visit hospitals, even though they are working from home. So I think the important thing is there is stickiness with the customers. Without making a single visit outside India, we were able to generate 500 crores of export business, plus 500 plus crores of export business. And we continue to ramp up that business by being in India. Most of my salespeople and people who are posted outside India have not traveled at all, actually. So we have seen that stickiness with the customer. That's a very important sign for the company. And I think the government of India's Make in India focus will further drive the growth of this medical device sector in India. And to my estimate, it should grow between 15% to 16% in the next 3 to 5 years, depending on where we are, because it will take time for people to ramp up capacities, or people who apply for PLI scheme. It will take some time for them to start up, build manufacturing plants and get approvals, necessary regulatory approvals, and start manufacturing in India. But I expect that next 3 to 5 years, we should grow around 15% or more. For us, 5 southern states are very, very important. AP, Telangana, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, as they have almost 40% of the hospital bed capacity of the country. And we are strongly focusing there to increase our penetration. Traditionally, it's been a little bit of a weak area for us. But now, from last 6 to 8 months, we have been focusing very deeply in southern India. And we have got a lot of new accounts like China, Manipal. Most of these large clients are now today Columbia Asia, our customers of Polymed. Polymed continues to look for strategic partners, new technologies inside or outside India. Our Sanman health acquisition in Italy has done well. Of course, last year being pandemic and Italy, there was a peak of pandemic for a long period. So the company had almost a flat revenue. But this year we expect the pent-up demand coming up, and first 4 months have been quite encouraging for us. And similarly, our China plant, though we have not invested any money in that plant for last 4 or 5 years, but last year it has made a profit over 2 crores. So I think all our overseas operations have been doing well, and India also has done well in last 12 months. There are further growth opportunities. We are looking at new business areas, and as and when we enter new areas, I'll definitely inform all our investors, our stakeholders. And I think whatever cash the company generated or whatever cash the company has raised or capital company has raised, we intend to invest resources very judiciously and in the right areas to give optimum return to our shareholders and stakeholders. With this, I conclude my opening remarks and look forward to responding to your questions. Thank you once again, and please keep safe and be healthy.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin with the question and answer session. Anyone wishing to ask a question may please press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Ashwin Ritik from DS Investments. Please go ahead.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, so good afternoon. In an earlier call, you had mentioned that the US would be your final frontier, and you also made some top-level hires and made product registrations as well. So as you see things today, could you just give some qualitative points on why this particular market and the US distribution has been difficult for us to crack, considering in other developed Western European markets we've been doing pretty well? And what are we doing to address this?
See, US is a very different market compared to rest of the world. Because in US, what we have seen, from our earlier experience, either you need to align with a very large player or you have to go direct in the market. And if you recall, in the last call, I had mentioned that we have appointed a CEO for US business, Kim Shelby. And unfortunately, for last 1 year, he's not been able to work because 98% of the people in US are working from home, and most of the companies are closed. And we were not able to connect with many major customers. But what we have done is, we have reached out to many folks there, and we have to many distribution companies, as I updated on the call. And we have already applied for 510(k) approval for US FDA. There are certain delays there due to COVID pandemic, but we hope that between Q2 and Q3 we should receive approvals for some products, and by early next year we should be able to start selling more products in the US market. And we are already going to strengthen our team there. So Kim will be appointing more people in the US on the clinical side and also on the sales side. And hopefully by early next year, we'll have a reasonable team to start operating in the US market.
Sure. If I can just squeeze in one more question. If I look at the first 3-quarter revenues of the previous financial year, the renal care segment has been contributing nearly 6% of revenues, up from 2% of revenues just 3 years back. So now, just considering that in the segment, you have products coming up like the dialyzers and the dialysis machines, etc. I was hoping to understand what this focus on the renal care segment would do for the gross margins from the current level of nearly 65-68%, and also if any qualitative inputs that you have on to provide on the runway ahead and the competitive intensity in the segment.
See, if you look at the complete renal landscape in India, so India is around 1,000 crore market for renal consumables and equipment right now, as per our estimate. And currently 95% of this is served by imports coming from different countries. So for us, we are targeting, and plus it is growing at a rate of around 15% on the CAGR basis. So if you look at the next 5 years, the market size should be close to 2,000 crores. And our target is to capture between 10 to 15% of this market share of this 2,000 crores. That's what we're targeting over 5 years.
Okay. Thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question, may please press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Sapna Jawar from Dollar Capital. Please go ahead. Sapna, your line is in the talk mode. Please go ahead. Sapna, your line is in the talk mode. Please go ahead. As there's no response from the current participant, we'll move on to the next. That is from the line of Deepak Khandwani from Girik Wealth Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Please go ahead.
I wanted to understand the capacity utilization that you are running on right now, and after that, all the capex is done, let's say in a couple of years. What is the kind of revenue that you're expecting from the expanded capex and your current capacity?
See, currently, if you look at the current scenario, we may be running around 65-70% because of the COVID pandemic, and then we have also reduced the manpower in the plant due to the current challenges we face of COVID in northern India. But I think once the situation normalizes, we will be back to our peak utilization of around 80-85%. This is what we see. And typically that's our peak utilization level normally in any manufacturing activity. And in our industry, typically, if you invest a rupee, we see, capital to turnover ratio is around 1.2 to 1.5 in that range. So we will see that kind of a ramp up in revenues also going forward.
And what is your expectation of the margin going forward? Given that you're you're launching these new products, and I'm assuming that these will be higher margin products as compared to your current product profile. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
See, we always target to improve our margins every year, and that's what we have been doing. And that comes mainly, you're right, absolutely, from new products and maybe new launches. And when we go to more developed markets, there's always an increase in margin play. So I think our ultimate goal is to reach a magical number of 30%, maybe next 2 to 3 years in terms of EBITDA margin.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll be it from my side.
Yeah.
Thank you for answering my question.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Venkat from 3 Sigma Financials. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity. You were saying that the logistics costs have gone up. So have they kind of normalized, or when do you think these will normalize and we will see better gross margins actually?
So Venkatji, the problem is, if you look at overall industry, the whole shipping industry, it's quite a challenging time. Shortage of containers. I'm sure you've heard from other companies also. And the sea freight increasing 3 to 4 times, whether inward freight or outward freight. So that impacts the business to a certain extent, margins to a certain extent. But I think I have no answer to this question right now when they will improve, because it's a global situation, and hopefully we see some light at the end of the tunnel. But presently, I think they are at the same level. In fact, they are still increasing, I would say.
No, if that is the case, are you not passing this cost to your customers?
We are passing the cost to the customers, but even if you see the other side, the raw material cost is also increased by 70 to 80%. All the plastic, if you look at the index of plastic materials, from last September to now, there is a 70 to 80% increase. But still, we are able to maintain margins, and even we have passed a lot of costs to our customers also. So, but this is always a tricky situation.
Okay. So the next question is on where are we on US FDA? So have we filed, or how would that happen? Can you kindly explain the process? We are aware of how it happens in pharma, but this could be different, right?
Yeah, this is different. Absolutely. I'll explain the process, sir. So basically, when you are filing for a medical device, a US FDA, so you go to a third-party reviewer, a third-party review who is a FDA-approved auditor. So they review the file, the technical file or the medical device dossier, and once they review it, then they will file the same dossier to US FDA authorities. And they take maybe between 4 to 6 months. So our documents have already been reviewed, and we are in the process of filing now, and we should take between 4 to 5 months to get the final approval for our initial 3 to 4 products from US FDA. These are all class 2 devices which need a 510(k) registration.
Okay. So Q2 is when we can start looking at, H2 is when we can start looking.
Yeah, Q3 is when we will start seeing, some revenue. Maybe, as I mentioned earlier, from next financial year, we would see much growth coming from the US.
I see. Okay. Thank you very much. That's pretty much it from my side.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question, may please press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Sapna Jawar from Dolat Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi. Thank you for taking my question. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for the detailed presentation. A few questions over here. You did explain about the capex part, that we plan to do some 250 crores of capex in FY20.
Yeah.
Will this be entirely on?
So it's combined over next 18 months.
Okay, 18 months. Will this be completely focusing on the PLI scheme, or do we have, anything apart from that as well?
No. Sapna, this is maybe 100 to 150 crores will go for PLI scheme expansion, what we are doing under renal business, and rest will go for other products.
And the rest will be our normal part of the capex, right?
Yeah, other new products we are developing or ramping up capacity of our existing products also. So there is a capex also involved there.
So the newer capacity that we had just started a few months back on the 2 plants, have we completely started, and are we seeing traction in those plants? Because
we already. Yeah, you're right. One plant, the expansion of IMT Faridabad was operational in November 2020, and in February, March 21, the SEZ plant phase 2 was ready. But Sapna, it takes around close to 18 months to 24 months to build a plant and get all regulatory approvals for a new plant. And that's the reason we have started building this plant, so that, and by that time, our whatever expansion we have done in the past will utilize full capacity, and the new capacity will be available to us in next 18 months.
Sure. Sure. And the newer capacity that you'll be putting up for the products, will it, focus on any particular therapy? As in, will it be a targeted one, or if you could just give us some idea?
Other than renal, we will continue to focus on infusion and diagnostic business, diagnostic consumables.
So will oncology also be a part of our focus? Any oncology devices?
Oncology is done by a subsidiary in Italy, Plan One Health. So they have a separate capex plan. This is not linked to Polymed's capex plan.
Okay, and but do we supply those products also in India or elsewhere?
No, so Plan One Health sells those products in India, and Polymed is distributing those products in India.
Sure. Thank you so much. So second question is on, the dialyzers that we have recently launched in India. Yeah. And so how is the traction there, and will we be only launching this product in India, or have we also started exporting it?
So, Sapna, we'll start exporting it. We have already started some sales of export. We just hired a new business head for dialysis business. He joined on end of February. And now we are doing a ramp up of manufacturing capacity and going deeper in the market. The one challenge we face in this business is this product is duty free right now in the country. And what we have requested the government that there is sufficient capacity to meet the local demand. And because on other medical devices there is a duty of 5% and 7.5% and 5% health, which the government has put to push Make in India. But on this product, Chinese, and there is no regulatory requirement to sell in India right now. So many Chinese companies are dumping our products in India right now. So we are requesting the government to first make registration mandatory for this device, and this company should be audited who are selling products in India from China. Because today, if I want to sell a product in China, I need 3 years. Whereas the Chinese companies, if they want to sell in India, they need 3 seconds. And no regulatory requirement is there. And that's the reason you see today oxygen concentrators and other products being dumped into India with substandard quality. So that is the reason we are pushing the government to bring in regulation very, very quickly, and also put a protection for Indian companies. Otherwise, the Chinese are going to dump the product like you have seen in other industries and destroyed the manufacturing landscape in India.
Sure. Any response from the government that you've received so far?
They have responded back. I've had few meetings with the government, and as I heard in the budget that by October the government is looking at bringing some kind of a protection for around 400 products, as Madam Nirmala Sitharaman announced, FM announced in the budget that in October they will review certain tariffs and then they'll decide on them. But what we are requesting the government that today any medical device is made in India, you need a level playing.
Right. Hello.
Sorry to interrupt. Mr. Baid, we are not able to hear you. Ladies and gentlemen, we seem to have lost the
We are pushing business, but I think...
Mr. Baid. Sir, we lost the audio from your line for the last 10 seconds.
Yeah. So, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so Sapna, we are pushing hard with the government to put all the regulatory mechanism and the protection mechanism for the domestic industry.
Sure. Also on this route now, when we did mention that we'll be launching our products in the US starting the second half of this year. So how much investment in terms of, have we done any investment in terms of marketing our products, in terms of, will it be a B2B business, will it be a B2C business? Any details if you can share?
Sabna, this is more of a strategy, business strategy, which I'll not be able to share too much on a call. And what we are doing, we already have a CEO out there who is helping us to connect with the large users. And once we have a user, it is much easier and US businesses also.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Baid. Sir, we are not able to hear you clearly now.
What is the signal issue? Let me change my location. So, can you hear now?
No, sir, your voice is still breaking up.
I really don't know what's happened. Maybe better now?
A little better, sir. Please proceed.
Okay. So again, we have already, identified a CEO there who's been working for a year now, doing all the preparatory work for business development. And let's say by end of this year, early next year, we'll be able to share more details with you once we are up and running there.
Sure. One last question, if I may. So on the renal category, where, from the earlier participant also asked us that it is today 6% of our business, of our total sales. And with our focus plus the PLI scheme coming in, where do we see this business, over the next 3 to 4 years? Will it become like a double-digit contributor to our overall sales?
So Sapna, I mentioned that currently business in India is 1,000 crores, and in like 5 years should become 2,000 crores, and we aim to take 10 to 15 market share from that number. I can't give you any more details, futuristic numbers or details beyond this.
Sure, sir. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question, please press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Vinay Bafna from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, thank you for the opportunity. Good afternoon, sir. I have actually 2 questions. First, I want to understand what was the benefit from COVID which you had in FY21, and did you see a decline in trend in Q4, and what kind of an outlook do you expect from it in the coming quarters?
So we did not benefit much from COVID, Vinay, because if you see, certain product sales dropped because there were no elective surgeries happening in the hospitals. So that business kind of dropped a little, and some products which we were able to ramp up, in terms of capacity, we were able to sell more during that period, like our BTM kits or some respiratory products. But I think Q2 and Q3 onwards and 4 onwards, we had a steady business, from which we had in the previous year, FY19 or FY20. So I think for us that was more important, to maintain a steady business rather than getting spikes or upward or lower spikes. So even in this quarter, what we are seeing is, yes, there is certain increase in demand for respiratory products and certain diagnostic products, but there is a demand drop for some other products which are used in surgery. So it evens out for us, because see, we are a balanced company in terms of our large product portfolio. So this helps us to balance, and we have fungible manufacturing lines. So we are able to balance this very well in terms of our product mix and go out to customers and offer whatever is needed.
Understood, sir. But is there an opportunity going ahead, maybe in terms of supplying syringes for vaccine manufacturers for COVID?
So we have just uploaded our presentation. We just uploaded a few minutes before the call. Sorry we couldn't do it earlier, but we have very clearly said that we are going to make syringes, and our target is to start manufacturing syringes by Q3 of this financial year to supply to vaccine companies or directly to the government procurement process.
Right. So, what kind of an opportunity do you see there? I mean,
we are not going to start making millions on day one, so it will be a ramp-up capacity. But I think again, I feel like if you look at any medical device company, global medical device company, large companies, everybody is having syringe in the portfolio, like BD, B. Brown, Smith, or today you look at Cardinal. So all companies carry syringes in their portfolio. So I think we realized that we have syringes like insulin and pre-filled syringes in our portfolio, but we didn't have the generic syringe in our portfolio, and mainly due to lower margins. So we are not going to make a large capacity, but we want to stay in this business because I think now vaccination will become more and more important, and we have the same channel partners who will be selling this product. So it was prudent for us to launch this product in next 3 to 6 months.
Understood, sir. Very clear. Another question that I had is, I was just looking at the presentation itself. So you plan to launch a lot of diagnostic kits and devices in FY22, which are COVID and non-COVID related also. So maybe you can probably give some outlook as to what kind of revenue contribution you had in FY21 and what is the outlook.
So the revenue for these products is not factored in right now. These are completely new products. Some will be launched in next few months. Some will be launched in next 4 to 6 months. So these are the new products we'll be launching. We have already test marketed, received approvals for our RNA kits and RT-PCR kits from ICMR. We already have the drug license from CDSCO already for this product. So in next few months we'll be launching this product. But for other products, these are under test and development mode. So currently in the current business plan and revenue guidance, we have not factored in these products. There will be very limited sales in the current financial year, maybe less than 10 crores or so. But next financial year will be big for these products. We will ramp up more capacity.
Understood.
But the direction is very clear that we want to go deeper into the diagnostic stream because we have the blood collection tubes, the vacuotainers which are used for blood collection and the needles. So we are approaching all the path labs that they have been buying our products now. So for us it becomes more interesting to fill the same pipe with more products.
Got it, sir. And just one last thing. So among the new launches, you've also highlighted the COVID antigen kit. What I want to understand is, will we have enough capacity or capability to export this? Because I think recently Singapore had announced that they are going to use an antigen kit for anyone who's coming into the country. So do you see that as a large opportunity?
I think initially our focus will be to focus on India because we would like to stay in India for next maybe 12 to 24 months because I think India will be a greater need for this kind of product. And then later on we will start exporting because we have a strong export base. We are selling our products in 110 countries. So if customers are looking for this product, definitely we'll offer, But I think initial focus, has to be India because these are new to us. So we would like to stay in India, develop all the competence and then go to global markets.
Understood, sir. Thank you so much. That's all from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is in the line of Girish Jain from KJMC Finserv Group. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity and congratulations on a good set of numbers. I have only two questions. In the opening remarks, if I heard correctly, you mentioned that part of the money which the company has raised will be used for inorganic acquisitions.
Yes.
Have we made up any strategy on which segment this acquisition could be and in which geography we would be looking at?
Girishji, thank you so much. Pleasure to connect with you. So I think, first of all, we are looking for opportunities, but mainly we will focus on our core business activities, whether it's renal or infusion, because these are the two areas the company is focusing on other than diagnostics. So we'll stick to our current competence and look at opportunities in this area. And the second phase is we are geography agnostic right now. It could be US, it could be Europe, it could be even India. And we are looking for a good product mix which can fit into our current range of products, and we can complement with the whole business together with the new business. Like when we acquired Sanwan Health in Italy, it was in oncology vascular products. And vascular has been our core business strength from last 20 years. So it was very easy to add and piggyback on this product and go to our global customers with the same range of products. So that is all we want to do going forward also.
Right. And just one bookkeeping question. Could you just repeat the debt figures as on 31st March? And are we looking to raise any further debt for the capex being planned?
Girishji, we currently have long-term debt of around 88 crores, which was an ECB we had taken 2 years ago. And it is ECB and FNRB loan. And majority part is ECB around 74 crores. Which is around 1.2% interest rate, and we can't prepay it due to certain restrictions we have on the end use of the funds. And then we have a working capital debt of around 36 crores on the books. Funds raised from banks for packing credit and for CC limit, cash credit limit, as of 31st March. And we plan to repay all our working capital debts by this year with the bank and become a zero working capital debt from the bank. And then in terms of long-term debt, I think this debt will sit in the books for another 3 years, 2.5 to 3 years. till we finish the tenure of these loans and then we repay them back. And otherwise, I think we have cash and cash equivalents and investments of around 400 plus crores in the company from the QIP and previous investments. So we'll be able to use that for next couple of years. And also, I think with the cash accruals we have in the company, we'll be able to fund everything now without any debt going forward.
Right. And last question, if I can just squeeze in, when is the capex likely to start showing revenue? You mentioned 18 months, if I heard correctly.
Yes, Girish, you see, we have been continuously doing capex, whether capital raise or no capital raise. Every year we do close to 70 to 80 crores of capex on an average. Because this industry, we have to categorize capex in 4 categories. So one is our maintenance capex, upgradation of existing, technologies and plants and everything. Second is our capacity expansion. Third is, towards R&D capex expenditure. Fourth is new projects, and then fifth maybe building new infrastructure. So the capex happens in so many different directions. So every year there's a capex requirement in this industry, and continuously we'll invest. And every year you will see from the capex we are doing incremental revenue coming. And what we are doing today, we're going to see something in, let's say, FY towards Q2 or Q3 of FY23. It will take 18 months minimum to see the revenue coming from the new plants and new infrastructure build-up.
Okay. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sapna Jawar from Dolat Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for the follow-up. So 2 questions. One, you did mention about your focus on syringes, diagnostic kits, going deeper on the diagnostics channel.
Right.
Just wanted to understand how will, our margins be placed? Because I was just going through your presentation where you actually listed a host of products that we plan to launch in FY22. On
Correct.
The diagnostics as well as, alcohol pads, polyswabs, except for, few products, will the others have similar kind of margins? If you could just explain the product mix, because we intend to maintain our margins for the next year as well.
See, what we have seen, Sapna, in the current pandemic, that there has always been a demand of diagnostic products, and going forward also, we expect the testing to increase a lot. Because
Right.
now, even for a small ailment, first thing you suspect is whether it's COVID or not. Even there's a fever. So earlier with a fever, you could always say, okay, I'm going to rest at home, and 2-3 days I'm going to look at it, and then it goes away by itself. Now everybody is looking for their blood tests, and also, so I think the diagnostic space is supposed to, in my opinion, will go much faster than the rest of the industry. Due to the current needs and the change in requirements, and when today, even for travel, you need RT-PCR test or a vaccination certificate. And now this vaccination also will be there every year. It's not that you got a COVID vaccination and then next year there will be a new strain, so you'll have to vaccinate yourself and you'll get a booster dose. So I think what we see is, if there are 1.5 billion, 4 billion people in India, and there are 20 different types of vaccinations available today, so I think there will be a huge demand for syringes going forward. There is a shortage right now, global shortage for syringes. We thought it appropriate to enter this business. Also on the diagnostic side, we already are supplying products to labs. We are already present in all major labs like Thyrocare, Metropolis, Dr. Lal Path Labs, SRL, PathKind. So I think we have built a relationship. I think for us it was important to look at more products in this category, and that's the reason we decided to enter this segment more deeply. And in terms of margin, I think we will have reasonable margins. I think we have already done product costings and everything. We'll continue to have similar margins what we have for our normal business today.
Sure, because as we understand, in the past 2 quarters, the demand for elective surgeries have gone down, and hence our flagship products would have faced lower demand. Obviously, they would have been compensated by the other segments in respiratory and diagnostics. But
not in the last 2 quarters, Sapna. Last 2 quarters were normal quarters, I would say. Q3 and Q4 were normal quarters.
So quarter four, the entire impact on the gross margins and EBITDA was surely because of higher freight cost and raw material prices, or was
raw
it
material
also a
cost
mix
has
of
increased.
products?
Yeah, raw material cost has increased by 70%.
Right.
And if you see like ABS prices, PVC prices, if you just Google them, and you will see that from $800, $900 a ton, PVC has gone to $1,700 a ton. And we use 300 tons of PVC every month, 350 tons of PVC every month. Or ABS, we use 50 tons of ABS, prices have doubled.
And
so there was a major impact there, but because we were, in the export market and we were able to cut down a lot of costs. If you see our salaries and wages, in spite of the increased revenue, this is the first year salaries and wages have come down, and the pure reason is because we invested a lot of money in automation. And that has really helped us to survive this crisis where manpower was not stable initially in the first few months, and again power is unstable. But all of us are running with capacity at 65-70% capacity right now because we have done a lot of automation in our plant.
And in our guidance, we are factoring in the continued increase in this PVC prices or the polymer prices.
Yes, absolutely. Now, because we have already seen one quarter already, and we know what we have to do, and that's the reason with all new products and whatever we are doing right now, we will see similar margins. What we have maintained for FY21 and FY22 also. Also, have a 17 to 18% growth.
Sure. So, of our total capacity, how much are we utilizing or have we targeted to utilize for syringes and diagnostics?
No, so Shabna, is a very difficult question to answer right now. Most of these products will come only in quarter 3 of the financial year. So I'll not be able to answer it right now, but maybe when we have a quarter 2 call or a quarter, I'll have a better visibility on this.
Sure. All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Venkat from 3 Sigma Financials. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks for the follow-up. I just wanted to know how would the next quarter be? Are we going to see some challenges in the numbers?
Well, this is a very presumptuous question, and I'll not be able to answer it. It's very hard to answer on such a call. But
2 months are already over, right? So you would have an idea. So we are today is like.
I personally already have an idea, and I can tell you we'll do better than what we did much better than what we did in quarter 1 of last year.
I see. Fantastic. Okay, that guidance is thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question, may please press star and 1. As there are no further questions, I now hand the conference over to the management for the closing comments.
So I'd like to thank all the participants and all the investors. And thank you very much for your encouragement, and we'll continue to work hard to deliver better results for the company. And I think we are in a very good shape as an organization, as a company. And being a market leader, I can assure you that we'll continue to innovate and bring new products more and more quickly and become a more larger player in the industry in times to come.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of ICICI Securities, that concludes this conference call. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines. Thank you.